Welcome to Tales That Stay, stories that stay with you.
Have you ever promised yourself that tomorrow would be different? Tomorrow, you would wake up early. Tomorrow, you would start the gym. Tomorrow, you would study harder. Tomorrow, you would fix your life. But somehow, tomorrow never argues with you. It never pressures you. It simply waits. And that is why it wins. Because tomorrow is patient, and patience, when misused, becomes a trap. This is the story of a man who trusted tomorrow for too long. His name was Daniel. Daniel was not lazy. That was the problem. Lazy people know they are wasting time. Daniel didn't. He was always planning, always preparing, always about to begin. At 27, he had notebooks filled with goals, business ideas, workout routines, study schedules, diet plans, investment strategies. Every page began with neat handwriting. None of them were completed. Daniel lived in a small apartment overlooking a noisy street. Every morning, the alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. He would open one eye, stare at the ceiling, and whisper, "Tomorrow." He didn't say it dramatically. He said it gently, like a friend tomorrow felt kind. It didn't demand effort. It offered relief. Sleep today. Start fresh tomorrow. And Daniel believed it. At work, he was reliable, but invisible. He worked at a mid-level position in a logistics firm. Not miserable, not thriving. Comfortable. Comfort is the most dangerous place to be. His manager once told him, "You have potential. You just need consistency." Daniel nodded. He always nodded. He went home that evening and wrote in his notebook, "Starting tomorrow, wake at 5:30, 30-minute workout. Study 1 hour, apply for promotions." He underlined it twice. The next morning, the alarm rang. "It's nosy. Tomorrow," he whispered again. Weeks passed. Daniel wasn't failing. He was drifting. There's a difference. Failure hurts immediately. Drifting feels harmless. His friends began moving forward. One started a business. Another got engaged. Another moved abroad. Daniel celebrated them all and quietly compared. Comparison is subtle. It doesn't scream. It lingers. One Sunday evening, Daniel visited his father. His father was a retired carpenter, a man of few words, strong hands, and steady habits. He had woken up at 5 a.m. every day for 40 years. While drinking tea, his father asked, "How's your promotion preparation?" Daniel hesitated. "I'm starting tomorrow." His father looked at him for a long moment. Not angry, not disappointed, just quiet. Then he said, "Tomorrow is the busiest day in the world. Everyone plans to go there." Daniel forced a smile. The sentence stayed with him longer than he expected. That night, he couldn't sleep easily. He imagined tomorrow like a crowded room. Millions of people standing at the entrance of their new lives, all waiting for the clock to strike midnight. But when midnight arrived, the room vanished, and everyone returned to today. The next morning, the alarm rang. 5:30 a.m. He opened his eyes. The familiar sentence rose in his throat. Tomorrow. But he didn't finish it. He sat up. His body felt heavy. His mind argued, "It's just one day. You can start properly on Monday." It was Monday. He swung his legs off the bed anyway. The floor was cold. That coldness felt real. Immediate. Honest. For the first time in years, he did not negotiate with himself. He did 10 push-ups. They were ugly. Slow. Shaking. But they were real. The next day, he woke again. And this time, the voice was louder. "You did it yesterday." That's enough proof. Rest today. Discipline is not built in dramatic victories. It is built in ordinary resistance. He stood up again. This time, 20 push-ups. Then, 15 minutes of reading. The progress was small, almost embarrassing, but something shifted. Daniel began noticing something he had never paid attention to before. The conversation inside his own mind, the voice that said tomorrow was not rational. It was protective. It wanted comfort, safety, ease. It was afraid of effort. One evening, after 3 weeks of consistency, Daniel felt proud. Too proud. I've changed, he thought. That night, he stayed up late watching videos. The next morning, the alarm rang. He stared at the ceiling. His body was tired. You deserve a break. He hit snooze. One snooze became 3. He woke up at 8:10. The old shame returned immediately. You see, this is who you are. Discipline is fragile in the beginning. It does not collapse loudly. It slips. Daniel felt something dangerous that day. Relief. Relief that he could go back to his old rhythm. Relief that effort was optional again. That evening, he almost didn't work out. Almost. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his shoes. And then he remembered his father's words. Tomorrow is the busiest day in the world. He stood up slowly. Not motivated, not inspired, just unwilling to surrender again. He exercised for 10 minutes. It wasn't impressive, but it was a refusal, Monspa said. The changes were subtle. He lost a bit of weight. His posture improved. He spoke more confidently in meetings. He applied for internal projects. One day, during a presentation, his manager paused and said, "You've changed." Daniel felt something unfamiliar, not pride. Respect. But discipline tests you when you least expect it. A major project came up. High visibility, high pressure. Daniel volunteered. Halfway through, the workload doubled. Late nights returned. Stress rose. The old voice came back stronger than ever. See, this is too much. You were happier before. Comfortable. One evening, exhausted, he opened his old notebook. The pages filled with abandoned plans stared back at him. He flipped through them slowly. So many tomorrows. So many fresh starts. So many versions of himself that never existed. He realized something painful. Tomorrow was never a day. It was an escape. A way to delay discomfort. A way to protect ego from failure. Because if you never start, you never risk losing. That night, instead of planning, he acted. He broke the project into small tasks. One email, one document, one correction. No grand speeches, no dramatic reinvention, just action. Over the next 6 months, Daniel's life did not explode into success. It tightened, sharpened, focused. He didn't wake up motivated every day. He woke up committed. There is a difference. Motivation is emotional. Commitment is a decision. A year later, Daniel received the promotion. But that wasn't the real victory. The real victory happened quietly one morning when the alarm rang and he stood up without arguing. No negotiation, no debate, no promise of tomorrow. Just movement. He visited his father again. This time, when asked how things were going, Daniel didn't say he was starting tomorrow. He said, "I started yesterday." His father nodded. That was enough. Years later, Daniel would look back and realize something profound. The day he stopped trusting tomorrow was the day his life began respecting him. Because tomorrow does not build discipline. Today, dos. Tomorrow is comfortable. Today is uncomfortable. Tomorrow feels infinite. Today is limited. Tomorrow asks for nothing. Today demands action. And that is why tomorrow is a lie. Not because it never comes, but because it always arrives disguised as today. If you are waiting for motivation, for clarity, for the perfect mood, you are standing in that crowded room, waiting. But the door only opens for those who move before they feel ready. Discipline is not dramatic. It is repetitive. It is quiet. It is often boring, but it compounds. And one day, you wake up in a life that looks different not because of one big decision, but because of thousands of small refusals to postpone. Daniel did not defeat tomorrow once. He defeated it daily. And that is the secret no one talks about. You don't need a new year. You don't need a new Monday. You don't need a crisis. You need a decision that does not expire at midnight. So the next time your mind whispers, tomorrow, pause. Ask yourself, is that a plan? Or is that fear wearing a polite mask? Because tomorrow has stolen more dreams than failure ever did. And the only way to defeat it is to begin. Now, moral of the story. Tomorrow is not your opportunity. It is your excuse. Discipline is choosing today, even when today feels inconvenient. Your life does not change when the calendar does. It changes when you do.